John Hamilton, Canada Post spokesperson, is sitting right next to me live now, and so we're going to ask him about how this is going. Hi, Mr. Hamilton. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Vassy.
So it sounded like from Mr. Gallant that there's still a lot to work out. In your assessment, how likely is it that there is some sort of stoppage on Friday?
Well, the unions provided us their 72-hour notice, so as of Friday, they have the ability to do a full national strike or rotating. If it's rotating, we're going to continue to operate and provide the service that we provide to Canadians. It will be challenged, but we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to be at the table. We're at the table today. We intend on being at the table tomorrow, so hopefully we can get an agreement. But I think, Cup W has said, and he's a negotiator, I'm not, but there is a big gap at the table right now, and we have some time to close it. Hopefully we can get there, but the reality is it's been a year of productive conversations and good discussions about the future of the business. We just haven't been able to agree on what the future of Canada Post looks like.
And just very quickly, because Mr. Gallant also pointed out that your company has issued a lockout notice. So let's say they decide not to go on strike on Friday, not because there's a deal, but because they think there might still be one on the table. Are you locking out Canada Post workers as of Friday?
No, the mechanism under the Canada Labour Code for us to change, make some changes to our operations because of the impact of a strike, the only way you can do that is if you provide a notice of lockout. That's the wording, but doesn't mean we're going to lock out, and that's not our intention. We want to continue to provide the service, but as of Friday, we have to look at our business right now. This is the holidays. Usually we're doing interviews about how busy we are and millions of parcels. Well, our parcel volume since the union put out their strike mandate and announced it have been declining every week. Last week alone, we were down 28%. That's 1.3 million parcels that instead of coming to Canada Post went to the competitors. So we're taking a huge hit. It's only going to get worse now that 72 hours notice is out there. So we're going to have to make some changes to our operations, but we're going to continue to provide that service, not just to the people in urban centers, but the farther you get away from the urban centers, the more important that service is, and small businesses too, that don't have the options and can't sign on with a major carrier.
So let's talk about then what is preventing that from going full force moving forward, because Mr. Gallant was very specific in raising the specter that, yes, your company is losing money, but he faults bad management versus your workers, your employees. I would put to you, does he have a fair point? Are you essentially trying to, address the issues at your company on the backs of workers rather than, at the management level?
No, I don't think that's fair. First, on the investments, we are so far behind. Some of our, technical systems are in the dark ages. We had a plant in Gateway, which is our main parcel processing facility. It was over capacity for years. So we built the new Albert Jackson Processing Center, and everyone was proud and super excited about that. So yeah, we've been trying to invest in the business to try and keep up, because we used to have 62% of the parcel business in Canada, but our competitors caught up. And after COVID, everybody was online shopping, and now everybody has the habit. There's growth there to be had, so all the competitors have swarmed in, and they're providing weekend delivery service. If you're sitting at home and ordering things on a Friday, chances are it's showing up the next day on Saturday or Sunday, but it's not coming from us because we can't afford to provide that level of service.
So what is the problem? Is I'm trying to ascertain for Canadians, why you guys are so far apart? Is it that you don't want to pay them 23% over 4 years, or is it that you want 7-day delivery and they don't want it?
No, I think we all want 7-day delivery. It's how we get there. And we've got to do it in a way that provides greater flexibility and in a way that we can provide cheaper rates, because nobody wants to pay for shipping. So it has to be affordable. So how we do that, do we do that with part-time, others? That needs to be worked out at the table, but we can't add inflexibility and we can't add more cost, because then we can't compete. Like, we do weekend deliveries during the holidays just for the volumes, but we do that at a significant cost on overtime. So that's how we're able to provide.
So you want to off-shift workers? Is that
in
layman's terms? You want to be able to not pay them overtime?
No, there would be new good positions, but we need to figure out how we do that. Is it part-time people? Is it people that can work towards being full-time? We're working through all that at the table, but it can't be in a way where we're just adding costs and inflexibility. So when there's nothing to deliver on some days, we don't have a whole bunch of people sitting there doing nothing.
They seem to, Mr. Gallant seemed to characterize, it's not just that there's these substantive issues where you're apart. It's also the the manner in which this is being negotiated. He says they're putting stuff on the table, and your company is kind of outright rejecting it and not giving it time. Is that fair?
I don't think that's fair. I know our negotiators, they're good people, and there have been productive discussions, and I don't think that's a fair representation of the work that's been going on at the table. Just because we're not in an agreement doesn't mean we're not getting along and having good conversations. But the reality is we need to look to the future. We need to bring flexibility to our model. But what we've also said is if we can get that, then we can grow our parcel business. That's where the only growth in the delivery business is. If we can grab more of that, then we can afford not change anything for current employees. So your defined benefit pension plan, not going to touch that. Your stringent job security provisions, that means you have job security and within 40 kilometers of where you work today. You're not going to find that in any other collective agreement. We're not changing any of that. So current employees aren't losing, they're gaining, and we're saying, we'll protect the things that matter most to you.
Is 11% wages, though, where you're topping out? And to be fair, inflation has gone up 25% over the last 5 years.
It has, but we've also lost $3 billion over the last 5 years.
And I put that to Mr. Gallant, but he raises a fair point as well, right? Like, again, are you supposed to balance your books on the backs of these workers?
But there are also, and there have been for years, cost of living allowances within our collective agreement. So we are saying 11.5%. It's above current inflation, but we understand it's not. If people talk about catch-up and things like that, we have to put forward something that we can afford over the next 4 years that allows us to provide competitive shipping, because we're up against global competitors, we're against small companies, and we don't want to be a gig economy player. What we want to be is Canada's postal system that is focused on the future and can provide the service that you're looking for, because right now we're losing. We used to deliver 60% of the parcels in the country. We now deliver about 25%. Those parcels have not disappeared. They've gone elsewhere because we're not competitive enough to deliver them either at a cost basis or on a convenience basis.
Okay, I have to leave it there. I'm out of time. Mr. Hamilton, I appreciate your time tonight as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Hamilton is the spokesperson of Canada Post.